onto your mat or your floor or your carpet or your towel, whatever it is that you're standing on, but toes pointing forwards. Just draw your attention to your feet and the feeling of the floor underneath your feet. It's quite interesting, really, if you were to feel and understand and think about the contact of the floor underneath your feet all the time, you would go crazy. But it's quite nice every so often to just stand and feel the contact of the floor. It's quite grounding on whatever level you think about it. So with the feet hip width apart, soften your knees. That's just bend your knees just very gently, tuck the bottom under, broaden and open out through the chest. Tuck the chin and lengthen up through the back of the neck. Keep that chest open, hands on the hips, and we'll start, as we often do, by tucking and sticking your bottom out. Tuck under and stick your bottom out. Good. We're trying to move from this level here. So just one level of your spine, not one level of your spine, moving from the lumbar spine, which is your lower back. Good. You should think about drawing in and scooping under with the lower tummy muscles, and then using the back muscles to arch your back. Tuck under with this and use your back to arch. Good. Being careful for it not to come from the ribs. So temptation a lot of the time is to arch and drop through the ribs. So thinking just about the lower back, tucking under, sticking your bottom out. Good. And you should be able to feel the resistance when you get to the end of the range in each direction. Brilliant. Settle somewhere in between, which is usually tucked under a little bit. Guys, quiet. Using your lower tummy here. Good. Side to side. Taking the weight onto one leg and then the other. Feeling your glute squeeze. Feeling it happen at the side of your glutes here. That's the muscle that stops you when you're walking, doing this drop of the hip when you walk. It keeps the pelvis level. And if the pelvis is level when you walk or run, you can generate better forces in that straight direction forwards. You're not losing energy with side to side. That appeals to runners, of course. If you're somebody just walking from place to place, it might appeal more that you have less likelihood of injury around the lower back. Good work. Now forwards and backwards, onto the toes and onto the heels. Feel what you have to do around here to control that movement. These are exercises that I repeat quite a lot. They're so good to just get in tune with your body and what's going on. Which can be thought of as kind of mindfulness, really. Good. Nice. Just bring your legs a little bit closer and then lift one heel. So lifting through the heel, swap and drop down onto that. We're trying our best to keep this level through the pelvis as well. So keeping level through here, squeezing your glutes on one side and then squeezing on the other side. Overdoing the movements, both around the hips and the legs and around the ankles to stretch in each direction. Good. Drawing in your tummy, dropping your shoulders, tucking the chin still. All of those things you lose naturally and you've got to just work to get them back again, get the positions back again. Brilliant. Take some nice breaths in at the same time on these easier exercises. Fill the lungs here. Good. Nice one. Take the weight on the left leg. Stand on the right, bringing it up in front and circling the ankle. So circle the ankle outwards. Good. Drop the shoulders. Squeeze through the leg that you're standing on, working strongly through that leg you're standing on, and then circle the other way. Good. All of this time you're working on that balance, working on your foot, Your knees a little bit soft, bum squeezed. Great, back down, you'll feel it in that thigh a little bit. Take the weight to the other side, squeeze, pick up the other leg and circle out. Good. Try to stay relaxed through the rest of the body. So a big thing with Pilates is to relax, stay strong but relaxed, and then stronger through the area that you're working. Make sure you're getting the breaths in. Circle back the other way. Brilliant. Bring that leg down. Give your legs a little shake. Now then, we've been doing some calf work over the last few sessions, and I've thought of quite a nice exercise to work the calves here. I'd like one leg in front, one leg behind, and going down and back up. So by the way, the socks are not a fashion statement. I've noticed some veins in my legs, so I'm trying to wear these compression socks. And I couldn't bring myself to put leggings on top, so, well, they could be a fashion statement, who knows. So what we're doing here, you're up on the toes, dropping the heel down. It's a stretch, but then you pull back up onto the toes again. Stretch and pull back up. So we're actually working those foot muscles quite strongly in that back foot. You're working the calf when you push yourself up, and you're getting a stretch as well. And actually, it's a very functional position if you think about it. When you use your calf, that leg is behind you. So this is my new favourite exercise for the calves. You can really feel it working. That front leg is straight, by the way. If the front leg was bent, you wouldn't feel it quite so much. Not entirely sure why, but it is true. Good. You might feel it in and around your Achilles. So anybody prone to Achilles problems, then you might feel it in and around there, which is good to a point. Just make sure you don't hurt it. Brilliant. Other leg forwards. Step back. Make sure your legs are wide enough. Straighten through that front leg. Straighten through the back leg. Pull up onto your toes. Drop and lift. Everything pointing forwards. Squeeze in your tummy. Drop your shoulders. Tuck your chin. Lengthen the back of the neck. Good. Drop and lift. So it's even working inside the foot itself, which is quite nice. Keep those feet healthy. Good. And take some nice deep breaths in at the same time. Brilliant. Anyone else shaking on the way down? I certainly am. Good. Just a couple more. Landing on your left leg now. We're still in this similar position. Bring up your right, and we've done these, but what I want is a smaller movement. So usually I get you to reach right back and up again. That's going to work your quads quite strongly. Today we're aiming on the glutes a little bit more, so smaller movements and more of them. So you can see how fast I'm doing that movement. It's just a slight bend of that knee and back up. Pull in your tummy, back and up. And up. Just a couple more. Lovely. Bring that leg down. So hopefully you're feeling it in that glute a little bit more with these smaller movements. Other leg up, back and up. Again, a little bit faster. I think on that last one, as far as balance is concerned, I could certainly feel my feet working so strongly. And that could highlight, actually, a problem with stability coming from the feet themselves. In both knees back, you've kind of locked the rest of you, so the only place moving is around the feet. Our Pilates class can actually kind of bring up these and concentrate on them. Two more. Brilliant. All right, give your legs a little shake. Good. And we'll bring them wide. So stepping the legs out wide, Tucking the bottom under again, broadening out through the chest, dropping the shoulders, hands on the hips, squatting and back up. Thinking mostly about those knees pointing outwards, toes pointing out. Good. Calm, stop. Stop sharpening the pencil. Cool. Stay at the bottom. Lift one heel. Good. And having your hands on your knees like that can be really useful. Hands on tops of the knees. Drop the shoulders. More glutes, I'm afraid, isn't it? Good. And then the other side. But if we get them all done in one go, it's quite good to get it all out of the way. Hands on the backs of the knees and pulse backwards. Get some nice breaths in. When the work gets hard, you tend to not breathe so much, which means less oxygen circulating around. I don't know how true that is really, but I think a good breath can certainly relax everywhere else and help you concentrate. Nice one. Come back up. Toes in, heels in, toes in again. Palms facing up. Bend your knees slightly. Take your hands out. Take your arms out. Elbows in, hands together. I love this series. I bring it back. It opens out the chest. It stretches around the neck. It helps with the stability around the rest of you. So make sure you tuck under, drop your shoulders, tuck your chin and lengthen through the back of the neck. Good, and you can go whatever speed you like. I'm somebody who likes to go a little bit faster sometimes, so go at whatever speed you like. Good, take your hands out, down and up, down and up. Brilliant. Keep scooping in your tummy. Keep reaching out with the arms as wide as you can. Anyone getting symptoms around the wrists and the elbows and the forearms through different work setups, different mouse, that kind of thing. Laptops can be awful. Good. Then, these are good ones, basically. With the palms up, forwards and backwards. I do have on my channel, by the way, a good home setup. I know you have somebody at UCB that does the home setups as well, or sorry, the ergonomics at the desk. But I do have a video on there how to adapt things at home if that's useful. That's on YouTube. Brilliant. Bring your arms down, roll your shoulders. Lovely. So, standing on the end of your mat. Hands on the front of your thighs. I want you to first of all take a nice deep breath in. Try and fill your lungs. Breathing out and start curling from the neck first. Neck first, chest, lower back, finally the hips. All the way down as low as you can get. Don't be concerned with how low you do get on these exercises. Some people are more flexible than others naturally, so just think about how much you can improve rather than being obsessed with having your hands flat on the floor. Some of you will never do that, and it is totally fine. Lovely. Breathe in and out here. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and relax through the arms and the head. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and relax again. With your right arm, stretch up and around to the side. Your left hand goes on the outside of your right leg. Down and round the other way. Stretch up with the other arm. Good work. Come down. Fingertips out in front of you. Bend your knees. Come onto the toes. Stretch back up again. Straighten the legs. If you can keep your fingertips still on the floor, then great. But do you know what? If you can't and they come up like this, then just fine. Good. Lovely. And then walking your way forwards onto your hands and knees. Now this is my favourite exercise at the moment. I can't remember whether I did it on Tuesday, but either way, this is my favourite on the hands and knees. We're going to stretch out the right leg and we're going to bring it across and tap, and then out and tap that way. It's great for your glutes, but it also stretches your back. So you get that side bend on the back and then side bend the other way. Keep the elbows straight, but your back is allowed to shift from side to side. Try to tap as far as you can each side. Good. Last one. It's quite tiring. It's tiring on the other leg and the other glute, the one that's supporting you as well. Good. Let's swap. So out and across. Good. Out and across. Nice.
So close.
Close. C-L-O-S-E. Good. Nearly there. One more. Brilliant. Okay. Place your knees so your knees are hip width apart on the floor and your toes as well. Hands underneath shoulders. Stretch up and round with that right arm and then back through to thread the needle. Brilliant. Try and reach as far as you can. These exercises, once you know them, it's easy to get a little bit lazy with them. So try and really scoop and press and push as far up and round and as far through as you can. Sometimes putting that extra little 10% into each of the exercises makes such a difference. Good. Last one. Brilliant. Swap sides. Place the other hand down underneath your shoulder. Stretch up and round and then through. Good. So thoracic mobility is one of the biggest things for physios that we work on for lower back problems, for neck problems, for shoulder problems. So we're always trying to get people's upper back moving, thoracic spine. So these exercises are great for keeping your body in good shape. Last one, I think we did a few more on that side. Obviously felt like I needed it. Step your hands a little bit forward. You see my hands are a little bit forward from my shoulders. You drop the hips down forward. Good. And then back. When you come back, don't sit back and drag your hands along the floor. Keep your hands put and drop your shoulders down to the floor. So dropping the hips down to the floor. That helps the lower back stretch. And then drop your shoulders down to the floor. So instead of thinking of going forward in that direction and backwards in that direction, it's more about where the body is going, where the hips are going, where the shoulders are going. Good. Last one of these. Nice. So into sitting. Heels planted. Sitting up tall, arms out in front of you, tuck your bottom under, scoop in here. As you come up tall, broaden the arms wide like that. Down, and we're going to have to move a little bit, forwards a bit I think. Tuck under, scoop in, up tall and open. Pull back, up tall and open. Good. Being careful not to lead with the ribs. So I don't want, do you know what? Having said that, it's probably not a bad idea. No. The most of the movement's coming from the lower back though, that's what I was trying to get to. Curl the lower spine and roll forwards on the sitting bones. Curl the spine, roll forwards. Keep the shoulders dropped. Keep the chin tucked. And let's do a few. If we pause here, coming straight up with the arms. And down and straight up. Good. Scooping in the tummy on the way back. Using your back muscles on the way up. Good. 2 more. Lovely. So the rolling one, which is quite nice. Pick your feet up off the floor. Curl the back, roll. On the way up, stretch one leg out and forwards. Roll back. Stretch the other leg out and forwards, and then you can see what happens to that knee. Both fingertips go to your knees. Toes. Maybe knees. Good. Shin, wherever. Mid-thigh, if you're really tight. And have short arms. Good. So the trick to good rolling is that back curl, which we were just practicing on the last one. Good, last one. Woo. Nice. Okay, on to your backs, the bit you've been waiting for. The reason we all came in the first place. Feet hip width apart, toes pointing forwards, knees hip width apart as well, hips, rock them backwards and forwards, tucking under, arching your back, tucking under, arching. Good. Keep going with that, feeling that movement. I'm just gonna bring you a little bit closer, which is nice. There we go. Cool, so keep going with those rocks, the pelvic tilts. Settle somewhere in between. You put your hand underneath there, but fiddle around with this bit yourself, you know. I'm not here to tell you that this position's correct or this position's correct. I just give you guidance, and then you learn along the way how the body feels. Generally, I don't want the lower back pushing down into the floor. I want that little arch in it. That is where your deep abdominals work better. So if you squeeze through your pelvic floor, that helps contract this corset muscle, which is your deep abdominals. You tighten there, and then you lift and lower alternate legs. And I'm going to repeat, because I haven't said it for a while, that you will not feel that corset tightening. After doing Pilates for quite a long time, I think you probably get a sense that something's happening. But if you tighten through the pelvic floor, you have to have a belief that this ring around here is tightening and scooping in like a corset. You will see everything draw in a little bit. And if you're working it properly, you will not get that pushing outwards. Good. As we're doing this lift and lower of the legs, I want you to check your upper half. So tucking the chin, lengthening the back of the neck, broadening out through the front of the chest. Breathe in, breathe out, and sink the ribs. You might have to pause with the leg movements, perhaps, to concentrate on that. Good. Nice. And then taking the knee to the side and come back up. Remember on this one, it's all about the hips staying in position and not letting them follow the movement. Recheck that you have your pelvic floor working. Pelvic floor wise, you don't want to think about a full squeeze. If this is an elevator, you want to go to the 5th floor. And we talk in terms of elevators because that's the speed. Hopefully not the actual speed of an elevator, but it's a squeeze rather than a grab. The problem with grabbing is everything else grabs. And then you end up with a very stiff section here. You can do the exercise okay, but you can't breathe and you can't do it for a long time. So tightening deep. Brilliant. Tabletop, stretch away, back in and down. Tighten the thigh, tabletop, tighten the thigh, squeeze the thigh, back in and down. Good. Careful not to really sort of bang and lock out that knee fast. Squeeze into it. Reach away with your toes to the far wall. The important part of this exercise is the swap from leg to leg. So when you place one leg down and pick up the other one, that's the time when you get the swap. Good. Last couple. Brilliant. Hands behind your head. Use your hands to go from the neck and scoop up to tuck the chin. That's quite useful. From the neck, scoop up to tuck the chin. Keep your elbows wide. And crunch. And I want you to push into that crunch. Push and draw the ribs down into the crunch. But keep the little arch in the back, of course. Brilliant. Keep that chin tucked. As far as your hands are concerned, they're not just pushing in that direction, but pushing and tilting the chin, which is quite nice. It curls you up. Really feel those abdominal muscles drawing down from the ribs downwards in that direction, whilst keeping the deep abdominals switched on. This is why people get stressed with Pilates, I think, with all these things to think about. But just don't get stressed about it. Every time I mention it, think about it, try it. 3 more. Then, if you want, stay in that crunch for the next set of exercises. You can come down and have your arms down by your sides if that's a bit more normal for you. So crunch if you want. Right up, right down, left down. Good. Up, up, down, down. Makes them a little bit harder. Quite a lot harder, actually. But I'm going to have people on here of all sorts of levels. So go with the level that you feel happy with. And if you're not sure what your level is, check through your tummy. Check that this stays flat. If this starts pushing outwards like this, then you know that you're not holding it correctly. Sometimes it's how tired you are. I went to film a video last week on abs. Started doing all of it so badly. And I just changed in the middle of the video and said, actually, I'm going to stop doing that because that's happening. I'm going to move back to these ones. Good. Swap legs. Keeping those elbows nice and wide, tucking the chin, or change throughout and bring your head and shoulders down if you feel like that's not necessarily helping you. Two more. Brilliant. Head and shoulders down. Knees and toes pinned together. Hands on your ribs, elbows out. Ow, that hurts on the floor. Pick up the hip, take the legs over to the side. Knees stay together, toes stay together. Pull back to the centre. Other side. Lead the movement with the hip. So pick up the hip and take the legs over. You can even think about pushing away with this top knee as you go over to the side and pull back. Recheck that your chin is tucked. Pull your shoulders down away from your ears, working those deep abdominals to pull yourself back into the centre. Good. Okay, feet hip width apart. We'll do a set of 100s. So make sure you've got that little arch. Crunch into it, maintaining the arch. Stretch your fingertips down towards your toes and then beat the hands up and down. I always have to do a little shuffle there to put everything in the right place. Tuck your chin, lengthen the back of the neck. Keep beating the arms up and down. Have the elbows locked. I see a lot of people with quite floppy arms often, so keep the elbows locked. The movement's coming from the shoulder. And for the last few, breathe in for 5 and out for 5. In and out. In and out. Right hand behind the head, support the head. That will have started aching a little bit. Lift up the left leg, draw in the tummy, left hand up and down. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. 2, 3. Last one, last 10. Swap sides, other leg up, and off we go. In, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check your tummy. 2, 3, in, 2. Brilliant. Come back down. Well done. So, we're going to lift both legs up to tabletop. One can stay down. I'm not really sure. So you push onto your left leg and you stretch out your right. I was trying to give people the option. So I tell you what you can do if you can't have both legs up to tabletop. You could just do a stretch in and out like that. Okay, so that's your easier option. For the rest, legs up to tabletop. We're going to keep the head and shoulders down, both hands locked on the left leg, and we're pushing into it constantly with that right leg going in and out. Good. 6. Tucking the chin. 8. Scooping in your tummy. 9. 10. 11. 12. We'll do 15, so 3 more. 15. Let's swap to the other leg straight away. Pushing into this right leg, left leg out. So for those of you with your feet down, there's no pushing into the leg. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Brilliant. Bring your knees in just to ease off that lower back a little bit. Quite normal for these harder abdominal exercises for you to feel it through the lower back. Now that is often those lower back muscles working, so it will get stronger. Good. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of shoulder bridges. Heels close to your bum, but wide. So bring them as wide as your mat, so you can feel, hopefully, on the bottom of your feet how wide the mat is. Bring them as wide as the mat. And bring the knees wider as well to just correspond with that. Tucking under, curling up, pushing your knees away, and curl back down. So it just feels slightly different to that closed position. Tuck under. The ribs are the last thing to lift, and the first thing to go down. Find that arch in the back again, tucking under, pushing your knees away, squeezing your glutes, and curl back down again. Good. Curling up, and curl back down. Curling up, give an extra squeeze of your glutes at the top of the range, and curl back down. And one more, curl up, stay at the top, extra little squeeze, and come back down. Good. Feet back into where they started, hip width apart. Legs back up to tabletop, squeezing your tummy, arms up in front, tuck your chin, stretch out your right leg and your left arm away from you, and come back in. Same on the other side. Now, those of you who are being a little bit more careful, the leg can come higher up towards the ceiling like that. That's a little bit easier on those abdominals. So you've got stretching right out and in. Good. Or up. If you're choosing to have both legs down on the floor and it's difficult to find an option, so keep going, guys. You could do one arm and one leg, and then you could swap. There. Good. So keep going with the level you feel comfortable with. Keep your breathing relaxed. In through your nose, out through your mouth, keeping the ribs down. Keeping that little arch in the lower back.
Is that supposed to be really hard on the lower back?
Hurting the lower back.
Yeah.
Ideally not. That probably is a sign that the legs need to go a little bit higher, or that you need to do the single leg one. Like I talk about quite a lot, don't I? And come back down, everyone, because that's enough of that one. I talk about it's normal to feel the lower back aching. And I think we do feel bad if this aches compared with feeling the aching in the front. There are muscles that are working, but I think most of us have got a sense of hurting rather than aching. And now if it's hurting, it could be that you're allowing it to arch a bit too much, that the abdominals haven't got control of it here. So as much as I talk a little bit about maintaining the arch in the back, for some of you, if this one hurts the back, you might want to push your back down into the floor for that. That might take that hurting away, as long as you're not pushing the back down and allowing the tummy to push out. So if you push down into the floor with that lower back, you might find that that hurts a bit less, or go to the exercise below, if that's helpful, hopefully. But I use these sessions because they're 45 minutes. I am quite quick through these sessions. So if everybody can roll the knees from side to side, I like to keep the momentum going. So what some of you might find is it's the tiring and the endurance that the lower back needs as well. So that could be another thing, that by the time we've got to this point, the lower back starts to hurt. So hopefully some of those points might help.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. No worries. Good. Okay, so I think that's probably a good pointer that we need to maybe move away from the abs for a little bit. We did a lot of glutes in standing, so I'm going to leave those for today, and we're going to move on to this kneeling stretch. So we'll get a few more stretches out. Knee directly underneath the hip there, foot underneath the other one. I want to hook your hands so you're stretching forwards and then coming straight back. So you stretch into it forwards and then back. Good. As far as something hurting is concerned, so whilst we're doing this stretch, if it was aching and hurting during that exercise, but a few knee rolls ease it straight off again, that's usually a sign that you just need to do a bit more of it in a controlled manner to get it stronger. If it tends to hurt for the rest of the day, or even a couple of hours after the session, that's usually a sign that you're doing a bit too much of that. So try and listen to your body. If it eases straight away, I'm quite happy with that. It means to me you just need to do a little bit more to get it stronger. Round to the other side. Good. Lunge forwards and then back. Good. And also, as you're doing an exercise, if that ache stays the same, and it's the same on number 5 as it is on number 30, and it's not ramping up, again, it might just be that you're working a muscle and you need to just keep on going and strengthening it. Whereas if that pain kind of goes like this throughout, usually it means you need to go down to a level below.
Asia is spelled A-S-I-A.
Good. Okay, so another stretch. Let's come onto our front. Sorry, Anisha. Onto your front. Bend one knee here. Tuck your heel towards your bottom and tuck and scoop under. Try to keep your knees together. Good. Tuck your chin and have your forehead on the mat. Good. Nice. And then the other leg. Bottom under. Heel to your bum. Good work. And then come up onto the elbows here. I want you to make a nice diamond with your hands here on the elbows. Tuck the bottom under a little bit, so try to lift off the lower tummy from the floor there, and dropping and lifting away. This stretches around the neck a little bit, I find, and around the shoulders. So your chest is lowering to the floor, and then it's pushing up and away from the floor. Lower and lift. Your elbows are a little bit wide almost as the mat. Good. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. And then let's push up into that mermaid position here. Coming up tall, trying to get this hip down towards the floor. Good. Draw in through here. Arms wide, you come onto the hand, onto the elbow, and over, and then push up and away. Down onto the hand and the elbow. Great. Try and make that arm as wide and as long as you can. Think again about adding that extra 10% into the stretches. Good. Over to the other side. Good. This one will always feel tighter. 2, 3, 4. Great. Swap the legs round. And remember, we're going over to the same side again to get that slightly easier stretch, but really lengthen out through that arm. Try and draw as big an arc as you can. Good. Brilliant. Other side. 1. The same goes really with that arm, that long arm. Ooh, fantastic. So coming onto hands and knees, tucking your toes under to start with, pushing straight up and then down into those heels. Bend and straighten one knee at a time. Good. Drop your shoulders towards your toes. Walking the heels down. Walk your hands to your feet. Hang there briefly. Allow the arms to hang. Your chin and head heavy. Everything heavy. Bend and straighten your knees. I'd like to think you're a little bit lower. Good. And curl your way up. Roll your shoulders a couple of times. And then good, should be all set to go for the rest of the day. Work, work, work. Take care, guys.